In the audiobook introduction to A Wrinkle in Time, there is, it's a recent edition, but there's an introduction by the director who made the film. And then after that, they insert a short note from the author, Madeleine L'Engle herself. Now, if you don't know this, Madeleine L'Engle was a good and faithful Episcopalian, and for many, many years was the theologian in residence at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine in New York City. But in that audiobook introduction, she talks about how the book was almost never published because the publishers didn't know what to do with it. And she recounts how she'd had half a dozen books published by that point. But the publisher said to her, well, this is obviously a children's book and it's too difficult for children. So she tells the story about how each evening she would take what had come off of her typewriter that day, would sit down with her kids who were 7, 10, and 12 and read them the story. And they would, at the end of each evening, say, oh, Mommy, go back to the typewriter, please, we need to know what happens next. So the story was obviously not too difficult for children. She says it was too difficult for grown-ups. And if you've read the book, that makes sense. But she continues, she says it's too difficult for grown-ups because many grown-ups tend to put themselves into little rooms with windows that they don't open and with doors that are locked. And they want to close themselves off from any new ideas. And children are ready and open for new ideas and new things and new places and new excitements. Now, when I was first listening to this, driving to the Indianapolis Zoo with my children, I couldn't help but hear her speaking about the church. Too many churches tend to put themselves into little rooms with windows that they don't open and with doors that are locked. And these churches, they want to close themselves off from any new ideas. And I think if you've spent any time in the church, it's not that big of a stretch. Because we are, on the whole, an organization that does not deal well with change. We enjoy our neat and tidy traditions. I'm not calling anyone out here, but we want to sit in the same pew every Sunday. We want the same liturgy. We want the same style of beautiful music. We want comfort and reliability, and we have, for a couple of thousand years now, built very nice little rooms with beautiful windows that are normally closed and with big wooden doors that are often locked. And for years, and years, and years, not a single new idea gets in. No new adventures, no new excitements. Until one day, everything that we think we know is torn asunder. And after our assumptions and our little rooms are torn down, we can embrace the gift of the vastness of the world we are now exposed to, or we can lament and try and brick ourselves back in. Much has been lost since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. We lost momentum. We lost consistency. We lost many dear friends. We lost long-held realities. We lost our ability to make assumptions about the future. We have lost. And in the face of loss, we can be tempted to simply go back to what we have always done. We are tempted to diligently reconstruct our strong walls, closed windows, and locked doors. But my friends, there is no future in such things. We cannot and should not return to the way we have always done it. In a world that has seemingly been turned upside down, we must dust ourselves off and move forwards. Move forwards with God, with hope in God's call to us. Move forwards with belief in the movement of the Spirit. Move forward with trust in Jesus. Move forward with devotion to the gospel that has been entrusted to us. Our lesson from St. Matthew's Gospel this morning is the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount. And it begins with these teachings that are commonly called the Beatitudes, meaning blessed from the Latin word beatus. And these are teachings that speak of a world turned upside down. They speak of expectations that are upended. They speak of long-held assumptions and beliefs being destroyed. Jesus is not giving a glimpse of the world where the powerful are comfortable. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Blessed are the merciful. Blessed are the pure in heart. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on the account of Jesus. Jesus came among us and turned our world and our expectations upside down. He came among us to bring renewal and rebirth. Jesus became one of us so that we might become like him. For all of the difficulties and the hardships that we have faced these last few years, I truly believe that they have given us an opportunity to set aside some of the things that were holding us back, to let go of things that were not beneficial to us, to live lives more deeply devoted to Jesus and to one another, to trust the gospel more fully than before. Desmond Tutu of blessed memory taught that Jesus' gospel demands that we struggle for justice and peace, compassion and reconciliation, for laughter, joy, and life. As a community, I urge us to take this teaching seriously. We must struggle earnestly and consistently for justice and peace. We need to be compassionate, be agents of reconciliation in a world that is hurting and divided, all while wearing the clothing of laughter, joy, and life. But it's hard. It is, in fact, difficult for most of us because we are grown-ups. When Jesus sat down and taught the Beatitudes, he knew that these teachings were hard and that they would not immediately be true. Jesus knew that mourners often went uncomforted. Jesus knew that the persecuted would often die alone and cold. Jesus knew that the merciful and the peacemakers would be laughed at and reviled. Jesus knew that those who lived his love truly and boldly would be rejected and scorned. And yet, he foretold, he promised that things would not always be such, and that we would not have to wait until heaven for this to be true. When Jesus teaches his disciples to pray, he says, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." His vision for these truths is to be made real here and now and for each and every one of us. Beloved, these last few years have been hard. The losses have been real, and they have been painful, and the grief and the hurt lingers. But those things cannot determine our future. Jesus has given us a way of light and life, and we cannot live that life when we do not open the windows and doors of our hearts. We cannot do the things that Jesus asks us to do when we refuse new ideas, new things, new places, and new excitements. God is not done with us yet. This is a community that can and should be a beacon of hope, love, joy, unity, and justice. Our city, our state, our country, our world, the people we encounter each and every day, those we love and those whom we need to love more deeply, need us to be that beacon. Jesus desires us to be that beacon. And I trust that we will, in fact, be that beacon. Because as the old spiritual says, lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loudly as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won.